to stay here because I wanted to finish this process. You finished it, then you could move on to the Dallas Cowboys and be the pro that you were, and even impact the game as a rookie.
Man, you're exactly right. Going to the NFL from college, that's a big transition. It is a job now, and some of these guys, they don't understand. It is a job, and you're there from 7 in the morning to about 6 in the evening. You're doing 10 and 11-hour days.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in training camp, we're talking about 15-hour days. You're going from 7 to probably 11 p.m. at night. So it's a big transition. All those things, all these things and reasons people are leaving, college coaches leaving, going from one team to the other. It's about the money. I think the money will come if guys are committed. It's about just being committed.
It's funny. We're talking about guys leaving. Earl Thomas, the Longhorns only losing one underclassman, at least as of right now, to the NFL draft. The Sooners are losing 4 players early. Sam Bradford, one of them, Dominique Franks, Jermaine Gresham, and Gerald McCoy. All of them could come back if they wanted. They're leaving early. Florida Gators losing 5 players early. Carlos Dunlap, Joe Hayden, Aaron Hernandez, Maurice Pouncey, and Major Wright. All of those guys are going early. I like that Hernandez.
Somebody's going to be disappointed.
That's 9 guys.
Somebody's going to be disappointed.
Now, you leave early if you're going to be, a first rounder? Or maybe a second?
Depends on what you're looking for out of it, I think.
But some of them are leaving early because their buddies or somebody, man, you need to be in the league, man. You need to be in the league.
Mm-hmm.
You can play, and then, they're living off their own height instead of, making sure that they are a first rounder.
Well, there's not but 32 first round picks, and I just named 9 guys leaving early from 2 schools. There's a lot of guys.
Good players, though. That's
good players.
Good college players.
Good players.
But there are only 32 first round picks.
And here's the thing: if you play a specialized position like an Aaron Hernandez, for instance, okay, well, how many teams are looking tight end in the first round? Now you go from 32 potential spots.
Very few.
Yeah, down to, who's got we got to get us a tight end,
It happens.
And how many teams have an offensive philosophy that puts first round money focus on that position?
Not too many.
Not too many.
That's true.
Not too many.
The tight end, a lot of coaches don't sit down and say, what's the missing piece? Oh, we need a tight end.
They'll find a tight end. They'll just pick a tight end up off the street somewhere. They'll find a tight end.
Yeah.
First rounders
every week.
Man, first rounders, they are looking for left tackles. They're looking for the kid from the big defensive tackle. I think it's from Nebraska. Yeah.
Nebraska.
I can't even say his name.
Gerald McCoy from Oklahoma.
What's his name again? Oh man,
a boy named.
I bet it took him to the 3rd grade to spell his name.
Yeah, I'm sure it did.
Man,
he's at Nebraska. He might not be able to spell it now.
I'm out of college, but still trying to do it.
So NFL teams are looking for players like that, man. Key positions: left tackle, protect my quarterback.
Sure.
And they're looking
impact players.
And they're looking for quarterbacks, and they're looking for that Chris Johnson or that that special running back.
Right. Let's Charlie's on the phone. You want to talk to Charlie real quick? Hey, Charlie. Good morning.
Indeed.
All right, thank you.
Right on.
Appreciate it, Charlie.
He's a good guy.
Charlie. I know that guy, Charlie.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, I know that guy, Charlie.
390 Live is the number, 390-5483, as we prepare to break down these games. Now, just in general, before we talk about specific games, the difference between regular season football and playoff football. I know the intensity is different. Do the coaches handle it different? Do they start preparing you guys different? Does your routine change at all? What do you recall about playoff football?
I don't think the routine changes. I do think if anything changes, it's probably just how the coaches prepare their game plan. There'll be more play calling. Everything in the playbook is coming out. This is do or die. So if they need it, they're going to do it because you got to get to the next game. It's not a next week if you don't win. They're going to use every play. So you may see trick plays, gimmick plays. You may see Peyton Manning, in the what do you call it, Wildcat? You may see him in the Wildcat. I mean, you may see everything. So I'm exaggerating. You know they won't do that to Peyton Manning. I mean, they don't want another Colt McCoy incident. But
can't let that guy go.
But the routine won't change. I mean, the guys will practice the same way. They'll prepare the same way. If the teams that have to travel, they'll travel, be there, all set, ready to go. Guys are just it's a lot more intense. I tell you this much: the last 3 games that the Saints lost, didn't they lose their last 3 games?
Yeah, they lost their last 3 after 13-0.
The Saints won't play the same way.
Okay.
You can forget that. The Saints will not play the same way. The Saints will come out shooting and firing, buddy. They will come out, and the Colts the same way. I heard on ESPN this morning they're talking about the Colts may be a little rusty, and I'm like, well, you can sit back and think rusty all you want. That Peyton Manning's coming out.
Yes. It's funny you say that, because I also want to talk about the leadership that takes place in the locker room. You were in a position of leadership, but also a guy who comes in his rookie year and is the NFC Rookie of the Year. I mean, you'd have to say he's an impact player as well. That being said, what is it like when you go through how do the leaders change? Because a lot of it falls on, you think about how people have said, they put a lot of pressure on Tony Romo not being able to win a game. And I've long stood on this show and said it requires a team effort. And I think that they've never really had a defensive leader. Y'all had so many self-policing guys in that locker room. Ken Norton, Charles Haley. The list goes on of guys that were beasts. But how does the leadership change? You were a leader on one of these teams, on several of these teams, that ended up carrying it out and winning the Lombardi Trophy. Do you change any? Are you a little more loose with the players? How do you get a grip on your teammates?
I don't think the leadership changes. It was understood who are the leaders on our team, defensively and offensively. And let me just touch a little bit on offense. I do think the quarterback position has to be the leader, because he's a signal caller. He sees everything. He has to call the blocking scheme, the protection. He's like the chief. He's running the whole show, so he has to be the leader. And I think when he performs at a high level, the offense follows him. Defensively, we had guys in different spots that were leaders. We had defensive ends, Charles Haley. We had, defensive backs and James Washington. Ken Norton. It was fun, but I think the leader is the guy that, if he gives his little speech at the beginning of the game and he shows up and he when I say show up, he makes plays. You lead by example. You lead by the effort you give on the field. So those guys gave effort, man. I'm telling you, enthusiasm spreads. And when I saw how Charles played, even though he was lackadaisical during the week in practice, his mental game was sharp. But when he got out there and he played, when you see guys like Nate Newton, who's an offensive lineman, who's just pumped up and just, he's blocking downfield and he's doing stuff like that, enthusiasm spreads, man. And so leadership is really not just one person. It's just the enthusiasm that one guy can just spread throughout the team, and then it just picks the whole morale of the team up.
Robert Jones is our guest. You want to take a call or go to break? We'll take William real quick before we go to the break. Hey, William, welcome to the A-Line Hotline. Good morning. Looking for it. When did you? Okay, I'll look for it. Thanks. Go ahead.
Thanks, William.
I got a friend that I talk to every morning, man. We just kind of communicate and we talk about different things that go on. And he works for the city of Austin, electricity. I always tease him, but anyway, he sent me an email